What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been far too long since I've made a video, and if you guys have been paying attention to the community posts, I did put out a post recently that something big was coming to the channel. A lot of you guys out there who are on the Facebook page that I am also on for the Duke 390 already know what has happened, and it's either going to be a sad day for some of you guys or it's gonna be an exciting day for some of you guys. I know I, for sure, am super excited. I'm already head over heels with this. I think it's time that everybody knows. Here we go. The Duke is officially gone. I'm super sorry to anybody out there who followed this, content strictly for Duke content. I really appreciate you guys subbing to the channel. I hope you stick around to see what comes in my newest adventures with the 2003 Kawasaki Z1000. Yes, guys, a Z1000, my very first 1000cc motorcycle ever. So let me go ahead and I'll get the camera turned around and I'll give you guys an overview of the bike, and we'll kind of go over my thoughts about it so far. I've only had it for 2 days and I've only ridden it to work once. I've literally only put, besides from the test ride that I took on it, I've only put 56 miles on it since I got it. All right, so there she is in all of her glory. Like I said, this is a 2003 Kawasaki Z1000. It's the first generation Z1000 ever produced. It actually has a 954cc motor. It's derived from the ZX9R and was overboard and then tuned to produce this motorcycle, the very first ever Z1000. And I'll tell you guys right now, it has some serious power. From the factory, they make about 128 horsepower and 72 foot-pounds of torque. This thing is making just over 3 times the horsepower of the Duke 390 and about 3.5 times the foot-pounds of torque that the 390 made. So getting this thing up to speed is of no problem whatsoever. It is insanely powerful. Now, it is a substantially heavier motorcycle. It weighs about 485 pounds fully loaded and wet. If you guys haven't noticed already, this bike is just super clean. There are some, light surface scratches, which is to be expected on any used bike, but keep in mind, this is a 2003, and I mean, when you look at this paintwork, I'll post a picture to get a really good shot of it, but the paintwork is just, it's beautiful. When it's in the sunlight, it has this pearl in it that is just so freaking unbelievable. Like, when I first got the bike, it was pretty dirty. You could tell that it might have sat outside for a day, but otherwise, you can tell that this motorcycle was kept very meticulously, probably inside most of its life. It has 24,000 miles on it, and it looks like it just came out of the showroom floor. So diving in a little closer, we'll just kind of start at the front here. You've got dual disc brakes. Also up here at the front end, not a lot of you guys are going to know this because you don't know the bike, but these are actually 2003, 2004 ZX6R front shocks. So the forks are from the ZX6R. The brakes are actually from the ZX6R as well. I believe the rotors are factory Z1000 still. I believe the triple tree assembly is also from the ZX6R, but don't quote me on that. But supposedly what that does is it really helps increase the handling on this bike, because the front suspension from the factory on these was found to be a little soft and a little vague as far as feedback. So this modification has already been done, and I'll tell you, the bike actually handles very sharply. A lot more sharp than you would think it would for its size and its weight. It actually handles really, really well. Is it as flickable as a Duke 390? No, not quite. And it does feel more substantial, when you're trying to get it to turn, back and forth from left to right, but it is still very responsive. Moving up towards the headlight area, it does have like this aftermarket cheap double bubble style windscreen. I'm probably going to upgrade this to a Puge or a zero gravity touring model. I wouldn't mind just a little extra wind protection on the highway, but it is very comparable to what the Duke gave me with the windscreen that was on the Duke as well. So the wind blast on the highway actually isn't that bad. Moving around to the display here, we got our digital display. Nothing fancy, no TFT, you know. My loss on the Duke with that one, but I mean, this thing gives you pretty much everything you would need. We'll just turn it on for you real quick. It's got that signature Kawasaki, like, digital chatter thing they do with their fuel injection. My Ninja 300 was the same way, and pretty much every Kawasaki I've ever been around does the same thing. I don't know why they're like that. In here, you have your temperature, and the temperature is still up just a little bit. I did get home not too long ago, so it's still probably cooling down just a little bit. It's also still very hot in the garage right now, so I don't blame it for having some temps still in there. You got a digital readout on your tacho that I'll show you guys when we start it up. You get a clock. That's your temperature, like I said, your miles per hour, and a gas gauge. I got to fill up here soon. Over here on the left, you've got a couple buttons. One of them is just a reset button, and the other one is a mode button, which all it really does is just give you, there's the mileage, there's one trip meter, and then back to your clock. So not a whole lot of, you know, frills or anything like that when it comes to the dash, but you really, I mean, with this bike, it's just a raw experience. You don't need a whole bunch of fancy stuff. And we're talking 2003, so having, you know, a digital style speed and tachometer like that is pretty high tech for its age. You'll notice if you take a look that everything on this bike is just so clean. We've got some aftermarket adjustable levers that are just like the MZS levers that I had on the Duke, so nothing really new to me there. They feel pretty good. I've already put my ram mount on here, which fortunately took the exact same M8 bolt as my Duke. You can look here, original handlebar, nice and clean. All the plastics, I actually went over all the plastics and everything, including like the mirrors and whatnot. I went over them with a Chemical Guys product called Silk Shine dressing, and it really helps restore like these deep blacks back into your plastics, your rubber, your vinyl, a whole bunch of stuff. It's really versatile. You guys should look into it if you haven't. Coming down here to the engine, I know the lighting isn't all that great, but look how clean that engine is. Absolutely spotless. Everything just looks so good. The seats are actually custom stitched. I'm not sure if the padding's any different from stock, but I can tell you they're very comfortable. Already could tell that my butt was happy the whole ride into work and the whole ride home compared to the Duke. Right here, right now, it has the paint matched seat cowl on here, which comes with the bike. Really nice. It's also in really good shape. I have the passenger seat over here, which is custom matched to the seat for myself, and it has Z1000 embroidered on it. Really nice. Coming around the bike towards the back, we have the OEM quad exhaust. It is 4 outlets from the factory. OEM exhaust, really cool looking exhaust. I really like it. Doesn't actually sound that bad for stock, but I do plan on getting something aftermarket to get that nice inline scream out of this bike sometime soon. I mean, look at this. It even has the factory rear end on it here, so no fender eliminator at all. But I used some of that product on there, and it wasn't that bad to begin with, but I mean, it looks factory new, factory fresh, just crazy. Let me put the flash on. Look at it. Silky, wet, black plastic, just good to go. Coming over to this side, you can see the other exhaust right there. The rear wheel right now is red, and I want to say from the factory they came red on the black bikes, and the front one here is black. Now with this bike I did get some extras, so I have the OEM front end, so the forks, the triple. There's also an OEM rear shock right there because I believe the rear shock was also swapped to the ZX6R. I've got the factory brakes right there as well, so if I ever want to put the factory front end back on the bike for whatever reason, which I probably won't, it's all there and it's all fully serviceable and ready to go. I also got the matching black rear wheel with what looks like fairly fresh bearings in it. They don't look too bad. Just needs a little polish and cleanup and a new tire. So when I do tires on this bike, I can probably just go ahead and swap that one back on. But I mean, look at this bike, guys. It is just so clean and it's so good. Now, what I actually did was I traded my Duke straight up for this bike. The guy was asking $3,500 for it. I took a look at it. I thought the value was there, so therefore I made the decision to do a title swap trade. I gave up a brand, a brand new 5,000 mile Duke, which was only worth about $3,500 anyways. I mean, I bought the bike with 2,000 miles on it from the dealer for $3,500. I wanted to get at least $3,500 back from the bike, especially after doing the modifications to it. So I saw the value there. The guy saw the value as well. He actually wanted to trade me so he could get the Duke for his friend. You know, we all met up, we test rode bikes, and everything was great. I mean, I did not hesitate to want this bike. On the test ride, I just instantly fell in love with it. The torque is incredible. The highway stability is incredible. The bike gets zero pushed around by wind when you're on the highway. All of the wind being pushed around is what you feel on yourself. The bike itself, just so stable and so good. And like you guys probably know, if you don't, I've been over this before. I commute on the highway mostly when I'm doing my riding. I go to work, that's what I do the most on my motorcycle, right? I really longed to have a little more power and more stability on the highway. So if this was the way I could get to it, this is probably the best that I was going to get, to be honest. Because even if I sold my bike for $3,500, it is so hard to find a bike like this or anything close to this for $3,500 in Southern California. Bikes here are usually kept in good condition. If you can find one that's been garage kept, if it's been taken care of, they're gonna go for good money still here in SoCal, because the market is just so ready for motorcycle riders to ride all year round. So this right here is my new everyday rider. I plan on keeping this thing for many miles to come. The reliability on them is supposed to be really good. I've seen numerous posts about these things getting up to 80,000 plus miles out of them. They do not even need valve servicing until the 24,000 mile mark. And this motor sounds absolutely just flawless. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up for you guys. So funny thing on these bikes is they are fuel injected, but they still come with this enrichener like choke module right here. So this is like an early fuel injection thing, and I know that Gixxers did this as well in their early years, but most of the time when I've started it, it doesn't even need it. And I mean, it hasn't been cold or anything, but it's never actually needed it. So I'll go ahead and start it without it, just so you guys can hear it just start up. So tell me, what do you guys think about this bike? I am absolutely in love. I really don't even care what anybody else thinks. I think it is a stunning looking bike. I'm gonna post some pictures in the video as well for you guys to take a look at of different angles. I'm absolutely stoked to ride this bike. I hope you guys stick around for future content. I'm gonna do, first things first, is an oil change on it. I'm waiting on the filter to arrive. It should be here any moment from Amazon. We're gonna do an oil change on it first. I've already cleaned the chain, which, you know, after I cleaned it, looks brand new still. But other than that, I mean, this bike is just turnkey, ready to go, fully taken care of, fresh fluids, all ready to go. Outstanding bike. Leave me a like, leave me a comment in the comment section, you guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you stick around. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.